process in the southern Philippines. I'd like to invite him to the floor.
Okay, morning ladies and gentlemen. I thought I would be presenting my paper in the afternoon, but I'm glad that I have the opportunity to present it now. First, I would like to thank the IFSO for inviting me and here in the beautiful city of Istanbul. So to start with my presentation, I believe that the recent development of peace process in southern Philippines was loaded in and out of the country for paving a way of giving hope to many Muslim Filipinos in Mindanao to achieve lasting peace that has been elusive for the past 4 decades and to help address resolution to one of the longest protracted armed conflicts in the world. With this new accord, the international community welcomed the Bancud Framework Agreement reached between the government of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and vision to bring enduring and lasting peace in the second largest island of the Philippines. So as shown on the screen is the flow of my presentation. Now if we start with the analysis of my studies, these are the words of our President on the progress of the recently signed agreement with the MILF. And in Cheese, the Bancud Framework Agreement is about rising above our prejudices. It is about acknowledging that trust has to be earned, and it is about forging a partnership that rests on the bedrock of sincerity, goodwill, and hard work. The work does not end here. There are still details that both sides must hammer out. Now, the Muslim Filipinos have been concentrated in southern Philippines, to be more precise, the island of Mindanao, island of Palawan, and in the Sulu archipelago. Their geographical location appear to be rather unique since they are physically detached from the main body of the archipelago, giving the illusion of territorial insularity. Valor, opulent sultanates, colonialism, prolonged conflicts, marginalization, and self-determination are weaved in the core narratives and history of the Bancud. But with this paper, I shall try to present practices and holistic solutions of meeting the peace despite power struggles with foreign and local powers for centuries in one of the colorful and most culturally diverse islands of the Philippine archipelago. Now, with regards to my methodology, I'll be using the stakeholder analysis, which has been used effectively in various countries that have confronted the same security threat on insurgency in resolving the armed conflicts. This involves the identification of the groups that are part of the clusters and ensuring that their involvement is observed. Notwithstanding, security and development are symbiotic discourses instrumental to achieving a policy intervention from various stakeholders. And in my view, using this framework and methodology will help me in restructuring my analysis in the paper because of altering behaviors and shifting roles of various stakeholders or players on peace process in southern Philippines. And above all, I think that every stakeholder in any conflict should be involved to achieve resolution that may symbolically represent local ownership and public participation, and as national security evolved from being state-centered to people-centered. Now, the rich culture and pride of Muslims in Mindanao, one of the ethnic groups including peoples of Cordillera and Upland Northern Luzon, were not colonized and integrated in Spanish grounds, Las Islas Filipinas, or the Philippine Islands. However, presently the Philippine Constitution provides the legality of autonomy. However, in practice, there are issues and concerns in the autonomy that must be continuously addressed. In the ethnography of Muslim Filipino, various indigenous Muslim groups were identified. religion is also considered as a vital cultural element that defines identity of peoples in southern Philippines. In terms of population, comprising the communities in Mindanao, immigrant Visayans have more number who are predominantly Christians or Catholics in particular. But the current discourse in shaping the identities and peopling of Mindanao should course through from a consensus agreement of all cultural stakeholders in the region. The mere naming of the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao is already problematic in that it connotes that the autonomous region is solely populated by Muslims, and when in fact the island of Mindanao is populated by three sets of ethnic groups, namely the Muslim, the Lumat or the indigenous peoples, and Christian settlers. Not one of these three ethnic groups could claim cultural superiority. A more apt terminology for the autonomous region would be autonomous region in southern Philippines. Now, using the stakeholder analysis, these are some of the interests of the various stakeholders and means on how they can mobilize their wants. Interests include self-determination, peaceful harmony, self-identity, religion and cultural preservation, mass support from national and international community, preservation of their ancestral domain and culture, aspiration for non-marginalization, autonomy within an autonomy, and self-identity, peaceful coexistence among the tribe people, and to achieve high level of economic prosperity. Now let's look at some of the important and influential actors when it comes to peace process in southern Philippines. Now, Nur Miswari is the founder of the Moro National Liberation Front, or the MNLF. The MNLF led the Moro Front is said to be the most significant rebel group to have entered into peace agreements with the Philippine government first. They started as an Islamic separatist movement that opposed the government during the Marcos's martial law period. It was founded in 1969 by young secular-minded students and intellectuals from Manila. And in 1975, a rift resulted between Chairman Nur Miswari and Vice Chairman Hashim Salamat in their political advocacies, with Salamat favoring a more reserved stand of wider Muslim participation in local government. The ideological differences developed into a power struggle that ended up with the latter heading the new MILF leadership in 1979, which later renamed as the Moro Islamic Liberation Front in 1984. Now, after the death of Salamat, it was Al-Haj Murad who inherited the chairmanship of the country's largest Moro rebel group. Today, he seeks to end that violence, giving up his group's call for independence and playing a key role in ensuring peace to last, as he signed a preliminary agreement with President Aquino last October 2012 after 32 formal meetings between both parties over more than a decade and of peace negotiations and under the terms of 3 presidents in the Philippines. And the memorandum of like the MNLF, it was the MILF has ambitions that are sub-national geographically, but national in relation to the Moro nation. A division from its Islamic orientation, but with its orientation, its major aim is for the establishment of an independent Islamic state. However, greater self-rule has been given a new face with the commitment to accommodate Bangsamoro's demands, decentralizing power to the diverse and multiple identities of its people, changing the mindset of Filipinos of the prejudice that all too often links political Islam through violence. Now, the Memorandum of Agreement on the Ancestral Domain is one of the most controversial and unsuccessful peace pacts that the Philippine government had entered into with the MILF under the administration of former President Gloria Arroyo, that was determined to be unconstitutional, by the Philippine Supreme Court, while the facts surrounding the celebrated case that centered on the armed conflicts between the government and the MILF with the political and legal issue has a bearing on all areas in the country where there has been protracted armed conflicts. Now, peace process was halted when the Philippine government had mistakenly waged an all-out war against the MILF in September 1999 under the short-lived administration of former President Estrada, particularly when he signed the Memorandum Order Number 88, adopting and implementing the strategy of total approach. It unified the armed forces, the National Police, Core Defense and Security Departments, and agencies to help address armed conflicts and insurgencies around the Philippines. And at the time, the MILF also took the helm and strengthened its base by embracing an ideology that emphasizes on the role of Islam in its struggle for autonomy and self-determination. Apart from these developments, the MILF has continuously evangelized the past as it offers them legitimacy using Islamic traditions. Now, in the post-Estrada regime, the succeeding presidential administrations tried to institutionalize the process of building peace involving civil-military engagements with local government units, government agencies, non-government organizations, and local communities to promote security, good governance, socio-economic development, cultural cohesion, sustainable environment, and excellent public information. Now, diplomacy played a vital role in dealing with the Muslim secessionist insurgency. If the MNLF campaign was about negotiated settlement with intermittent surge of violence because it has no DRR and lacking in capability building, meanwhile the MILF campaigns was about ceasefire agreements, ceasefire violations, and dragging peace talks. The Organization of Islamic Conference was instrumental in facilitating peace agreements with the MNLF and the MILF. For instance, the MNLF was supported by OIC members like Malaysia and Libya, and these countries served as safe havens for refugees and exiled leaders. Now, of the 16 government peace policies and programs, including amnesty programs for the rebels, implemented for the resolution of moral insurgency in southern Philippines, the creation of the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace Process, or the OPAP, through the Executive Order Number 125 enacted last September 1993, has opened the door for greater heights of continuous peace process in the country. Many stakeholders later on have seen the creation of OPAP as a welcome development in the peace process. Fast forward in August 2011, President Benigno Aquino III met with the MILF chairman, Alhaj Murad, in Tokyo, Japan. This was a milestone for the two negotiating parties, considering that this was the first time for a president of the Philippines to have met with the MILF chair since the peace talks commenced more than a decade ago. It only showed the maturity, mutual trust, and sincerity of the two leaders at that time, with Chairman Murad addressing President Aquino when introduced to him as Mr. President. Now, while poverty is generally advanced as the primary cause of rebellion and restlessness in the area, Muslim reformists would contend that the quest for Mindanao development must be holistic, fair, and just. Hence, economic development and intervention in the area must be framed in the larger issue of the moral, historical, political, and human rights. Now, the Philippine government proposed a comprehensive 3-in-1 approach of the Bangsamoro problem through its peace panelists. This approach is a result of the government's extensive consultations with various stakeholders in southern Philippines. This approach consists of 3 areas. First, massive economic development. Second, political settlement or peace accord. And third, cultural historical acknowledgement. In the massive economic development, government will pursue the transformation of the ERMM. This transformation entails a program on social services and economic opportunities in Mindanao. Now, the websites of the Armed Forces and the MILF are potent measures and indicators of transparency and sincerity to achieve a successful peace process in southern Philippines today because of its virtual effect in influencing the minds of stakeholders in and out of the country using the cyberspace. The electronic site are prime movers in disseminating up-to-date information and current perspectives from both stakeholders on the current peace process in southern Philippines. Now, the beauty of peace process in the Philippines was originally enshrined in the National Unification Commission, and there are three guiding principles that back in 1993 that help this peace process. First is that the peace process should be community-based and should reflect the sentiments, values, and principles important to all Filipinos. All Filipinos should define it not by the government or the different tribal groups alone, but as a community. Secondly, it must consistently strive to forge a just, equitable, humane, and pluralistic society where all individuals and groups are free to engage in peaceful competition. And thirdly, it must aim for principled and peaceful resolution of armed conflict with neither blame nor surrender, but with dignity for all concerned. Now for my last slide, the 2012 Framework Agreement of the Philippines and the MILF is a commitment by the government and the MILF to establish a new autonomous political entity in Muslim Mindanao. It will replace the ARMM with a more empowered and more equitable system called the Bangsamoro. This agreement involves the MILF abandoning the goal of establishing a separate state and committing to eventually rename or render its armed forces beyond use. As the quest for an enduring and lasting peace is fast approaching by the year 2016, the hope is now felt by many Christians and Muslim Filipinos, as President Aquino himself attests, that this agreement creates a new political entity and it deserves a name that symbolizes and honors the struggles of Filipino foreigners in Mindanao and celebrate the history and character of southern Philippines. The name will be Bangsamoro. Ensuring Bangsamoro stakeholders are brought into this process so that this peace can be claimed, sustained, and won by all. Sovereignty resides in the people, and consistent with the Constitution, a basic law will be drafted by a transition commission and will go through the full process of legislation in Philippine Congress. So that ends my presentation. Thank you.